So this is my third segment of traveling the MST. I'm picking up where I left off last spring at Jonas Lake State Park, and I'll be finishing at Topsail Island. I'm looking at about 115 miles total in this trip, and I happen to score a week with fantastic weather and sunshine and temperatures in the 60s and 70s. Day one of this trip is nice and short, only 16 miles and about 2 hours of riding to Singletary State Park. This segment contains quite a few highway miles with pine straw forests, and the elevation is very low as we begin to approach the coastal wetlands. The highways in this part of the state are typically pretty quiet, but every once in a while you get a stretch of paved greenway or a busy section of highway with cars flying by at 55 miles per hour. As you can imagine, these are not my favorite stretches, but thankfully they don't usually last very long. After passing through the town of White Lake, I turned off onto Singletary Road and was surprised to find a really nice and quiet stretch of sandy road. Truthfully, I didn't really have many expectations for the first day on this trip, so I was pleasantly surprised to find myself riding through a nature preserve with a really interesting landscape that was so sandy it was almost like desert in places. And given the option, I will always choose a dirt road over paved. Moments like this are why I come out here. Just leave everything else behind. It's you, your bike, and the beauty around you. It's simple and it's peaceful. I finished the day at Singletary State Park. I really didn't expect much because of its small size, but I actually found this to be one of my favorite spots on the whole MST so far. The state park has a cabin that they reserve just for MST travelers. I had a brief chat with the park ranger right before he closed down the park for the evening, and after that he went home, and I found myself having the entire state park all to myself. It was fantastic. I was thankful I'd started with a short day where I only traveled 2 hours because it gave me a lot more time to soak in the beauty all around me. Okay, so let's talk gear for a second because I'm a total gear junkie. For this trip, I went with a Salsa Journeyman gravel bike with extra wide drop bars and size 47 tires that were very road and gravel friendly. I was super happy with this setup and felt like it was perfectly matched to the terrain on this trip. The front of the bike is where I pack all of my clothes. I have one bag for riding clothes and the other bag for warm clothes at night. I strap a sleeping bag to the handlebars up front, which is nice when I have the extra wide bars. The frame bag is where I put anything heavy, tools, cooking gear, snacks, and they're easy to get at in the day if I need to. I have a dash bag for my camera, and then I always bring electrolyte water in addition to the regular water that I carry on my back. The rear seat bag, which I also refer to as the trash can, is where I put literally everything else. If I don't have room for it in another bag, I just jam it in there at the very end. I couldn't pass up one more chance to be down at the water, so I started my day by having my breakfast and coffee down at the dock. Now, based on the map, I knew there really wasn't going to be a whole lot to see on day 2. It was mostly about grinding out some miles, and so I figured I'd soak up the views one last time before I started my day. The MST spans the entire state of North Carolina, but there are sections that I refer to as transit miles, where you're really just trying to get to the next cool area. Today was one of those days.
I feel like they need to film the next season of The Walking Dead out here. I mean, it's like the very definition of desolate. So there's not much wind today, but it is at my back now. So I'm doing easily 15 miles an hour, which is pretty fantastic. Great way to slam through some miles. On the crop. This is it. It's on the map. In my head, I thought I'd be having lunch here. But then when I checked my notes, I realized there was no food at Yamakra. Now I understand why. So, 5 or 6 more miles, then we'll get some food. I'm excited about it.
Alright, third and final day. Let's go to the beach. Day 3 started out cold and windy, and I'd be starting out my day with 8 miles of riding on a busy highway directly into a headwind. Lucky for me, as soon as I turned off that road, things were less busy, surrounded by beautiful trees, and I entered into Holly Shelter Game Land. At this point, I had completed segment 14 of the MST and was beginning section 15. This would take me on about 15 miles of gravel through a nature preserve. There was nobody out here, like literally nobody. Just me and my bike. Holly Shelter Game Lands exits onto Highway 17, which is a busy 4-lane highway. Not quite the same feel as the Game Lands, but hey, at least there was food here. Topsail Island is one of my favorite places in the world. I definitely felt a sense of growing excitement as I approached the island. As I crossed over the top of Surf City Bridge, it felt like the perfect finale for such a fantastic trip. And I also discovered the view is way better from your bike. Special thanks to this guy for totally photobombing my triumphant entry to the beach.